We're sowing cucumbers and zinnias today on pots and trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and King Seeds. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, I'm in the greenhouse today just doing a little bit of seed sowing, and you might think, oh, he's leaving that a little bit late because here we are now in early May, but in actual fact, lots of seeds can still be grown at this time of the year, whether you're going to sow them directly out into the garden or start them off in pots and trays under cover. And most of the vegetables that we grow in the garden can be sown right the way through May and into June and will do perfectly well. And lots of flowers, especially the annuals, can be sown at this time of the year. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to sow two things. One of them is the cucumber and the other one is zinnia. Poles apart. Obviously you know what a cucumber is. A zinnia is a really lovely flowering plant. There's a picture of this one here that I'm sowing, which is it's called dahlia flowered because they resemble a dahlia in appearance, and they are really long flowering plants in the garden and great for cut flowers. The reason I'm sowing them both now is because they need warmer conditions, and if we try and sow these earlier on in the spring, say March time for example, we'd have to pump a lot of heat at them in the propagator, and they don't like fluctuating temperatures. So I always think it's better to wait until now. May, they're going to germinate faster and they will establish so much better and make strong plants and actually catch up. So it just takes a bit of the stress out. So we're going to start with the cucumber, and this is a variety I've not grown before called Merlin. Which is an all-female one, so really good one to grow, will produce loads. I want two plants, but you'll notice here that I've got 3 plant pots. So some people sow 2 seeds to a pot and thin them out. I'm going to sow 1, but I'm sowing a pot as a spare. Now, generally speaking, with cucumbers, I'm just making a little hole there, just about 1/2 inch deep. With cucumbers, you normally get about 100% germination if the conditions are right. So I forget 3 plants, I've got a spare to give away, a little present for Jill. So 1 seed, if you can get it on its side, ideally, that's what we want. That way the water just drains around it a little bit more, and I don't know whether Jill can see, and if I pop one into this one just down there, you can see that that's on its side. So I've got 3 seeds left, should I need them, or I can keep those nice and cool in my seed tin in the fridge, and I can sow those another time, and then literally just cover them over. It's as simple as that. So they're about, as I say, 1/2 inch, 1.5 centimetres in those pots, all wrapped in lovely compost, and they'll germinate when they're on the propagator. Just quickly, related to cucumbers are squashes, butternut squashes, and again, plenty of time, you know, on the packet, April to June is the time to sow, so we're slap bang in the middle. This is a variety called Hunter, which is great for growing outdoors in the UK. Seeds very similar but bigger, and we sow them exactly the same in a pot, 1 to a pot, and that is a little seedling now for butternut squash that was put in about 10 days ago. So slightly slower to germinate than our cucumbers, but still nice and easy. And then in a few weeks' time, when the danger of frost has gone at the end of this month into early June, that will be ready to go out in the garden where it will do its thing and produce lots of butternut squashes. So that's the cucumbers and squashes out the way. The other one I mentioned is zinnia. And I love these in the garden. They come in all different colours. I just love their bright flowers, and they go on, and the more you cut them, the more you get. They again, as I mentioned, like it nice and warm, and that's why I'm sowing them now. And I find they're better if you sow them individually in cells rather than a seed tray and then have to prick them out, because they don't like root disturbance. So what I'm doing here is I've got one of these cell trays with 20 holes in, finger or a dibber, just a little hole, again only about no more than 1 centimetre deep. We don't want to bury them too deep in there, so we're just going to put those holes in, and the idea is we're going to sow 1 or 2 seeds per cell, and I'm actually going to put 2 of these. Again, they normally germinate, but if they both grow, I won't even thin them out, because then they'll just grow together and form 1 plant. So literally it's getting a couple of seeds and dropping them in like that. These are quite light, sort of almost papery seeds. If you accidentally drop a 3rd one in, it isn't the end of the world. you can thin them out. And it's just a case of doing that. So therapeutic sowing seeds, knowing that these are going to grow. 1, 2, 1, 2, in 3 in that one, that's a bonus. 1, grow into some wonderful cut flowers. And again, these grow really quickly. Once they germinate, they grow at an alarming rate. So just about there. You can also sow these directly into the soil if you really want to. I would probably wait another week or two. You'd need a warm, well-drained soil. But I know some people have done that and they get good results. But this way, I can control exactly how many I'm growing. So in they go, and then it's just a case, a little bit of compost to cover them over, like that. So simple as that. Always give it a little tap down. And then we can take those across to the propagator where we're going to water them, set them on their way. Right, so there they go. I'll just put that little squash back with its mate that's also just pushing through there. This is a heated bench here, so it's got a soil warming cable in there, and it is set at 20 degrees. It's actually off because it's warm in here, so it just clicks on if it needs it, and it gives that little bit of base heat, which is fine. What you could do if you're doing these in a cold greenhouse without this, I would put a cover over the top of those and some fleece maybe at night just to trap that warmth in. And all I'm going to do now is just give those a drink. So we're just going to make sure the compost is nicely moistened like that. And then we don't really need to water again until we see signs of growth. And just be aware, if you're using a peat-free compost and the surface dries out, doesn't mean it's dry further down. So just check with your finger, because the worst thing you can do is give them wet, soggy conditions. So normally that will be enough. And hopefully within, 3 or 4 days, or at least a week, we're going to have everything growing. And then we're going to have lovely plants to put out in the garden and the greenhouse later on. Well, thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and don't forget all the videos that we've done can be found on YouTube, where of course you can subscribe for free. And don't forget our podcasts. We release one every Sunday morning, and you can follow that on your normal provider.
It was a bit of a rush towards the end. We ran out a little time on the Sunday.
We'll be back again next week talking all things gardening, so we'll see you then. Bye.